the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears have done a really good job in building the trenches on both the offensive line and defensive line, but now it seems that people inside Hallis Hall are actually pushing Ryan Poles to make this big-time move in free agency. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Bears fans, first and foremost, before I go any further with today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I want to give a huge shout out to both my parents. They actually share the same birthday today on March 13th. So do me a huge favor, go down below in the comment section and wish my mom and dad a very, very happy birthday. Once again, absolutely love both of you, mom and dad. Thank you so much for all that you guys do for me. But I just want to give you guys a huge shout out on today's episode of Keek on the Mic and a big happy birthday. So Bears fans, we have a couple of things to talk about. First and foremost, as you guys have probably already seen, General Manager Ryan Poles and head coach Ben Johnson actually met with the Chicago Bears media once again today to officially announce the Dahlman and Dio signings. And we actually got to hear from Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson. And one thing that really stuck with me, in today's press conference with Ryan Poles, and once again, it was just like a routine press conference of him announcing the two signings that he made during free agency. But one of the media members for the Chicago Bears asked Ryan Poles a very interesting question about the edge rusher position, and basically just ask him like, hey, Ryan, since you guys now have signed Dio, does that mean you guys are done adding to the edge rushing room? And Ryan Poles basically mentioned that, hey, you can never have enough good edge rushers. This is the exact same thing that he said a couple of weeks prior at the NFL Combine. And it seems that Ryan Poles' mission is to add as many edge rushers as possible within reason and obviously within the cap space that actually allows you to add a certain amount of players. But it seems that Ryan Poles is not done adding to the edge rushing room. And once again, he talked about the Dio sign, about how he's 25 years old, how he feels like the best is yet to come for Dio, and then how he's so versatile as well. He can play inside and outside as well. And just because Ryan Poles talked about basically saying you can never have enough edge rushers on the team doesn't mean he's going out and getting Trey Hendrickson, right? I know that's what a lot of Bears fans were probably thinking after he made those comments about not having enough edge rushers on the team. That does not mean that he's going out to get Trey Hendrickson, but to me, that means that he could probably look in the NFL draft at maybe adding at least one more guy into the fold here in Chicago. Some names that come to mind is James Pierce out of Tennessee, Mike Green out of Marshall. There's even some couple of other guys you can maybe get in round 2 or 3 as well. So Bears fans, I just thought that's one thing that I really wanted to bring up on today's episode of Keek on the Mic, because I really found it interesting that they're making a conservative effort to really build the trenches the right way. Of course, you have Montez Sweat. He's about to be 29 years old. Of course, you now have Dio. He is 25 years old. And then, of course, you have Austin Booker as well going into year 2. And I think it makes all the sense in the world that Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears want to invest in at least one more edge rusher on this roster to have a really good rotation of rushers on this defensive line here in Chicago. So I could definitely see Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears invest in the 2025 NFL Draft. I do not think it's going to come via trade by a name of Trey Hendrickson, but I can definitely see him maybe using that number 10 overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft on maybe a guy like James Pierce or maybe even Mike Green from Marshall. So Bears fans, how do you guys take Ryan Poles' comments about the edge rusher position? And do you think Ryan Poles and the Bears will use that number 10 overall pick on an edge rusher in this year's draft? Let me know down below what you are thinking. I also want to share with you guys a little rumor as well, because supposedly some people inside Hallis Hall are pushing Ryan Poles and the Bears to go out and sign wide receiver Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was recently released by the Los Angeles Rams after a very good career with the Rams, where he was Super Bowl MVP back in 2021. Obviously, we talked about Cooper Kupp before, about to be 32 years old, could definitely be a good slot option for Ben Johnson's offense here in Chicago. I think, when you look at his injuries, that's definitely not something that I like about Cooper Kupp coming to the Chicago Bears. And obviously, how much is Cooper Kupp going to cost the Chicago Bears? I think this is a player that it could probably still cost the Bears maybe $13 to $15 million just for one season. And to me, it's not worth it whatsoever. And once again, I get the intrigue, right? He's a willing blocker. And obviously you heard Ben Johnson really make an emphasis to his wide receivers already on this roster that said, hey, we need to be able to block. If you want the rock, you are going to block in the run game as well. And that's just what Ben Johnson preaches. That's what you saw his players, his wide receivers with the Detroit Lions do under him as well. So he's just going to make that a huge emphasis here. And Cooper Kupp is definitely a willing blocker, especially in the run game. So I think it would be a perfect fit to what we already have. You add Cooper Kupp and you already have, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet as well. It makes a whole lot of sense. And I get why people, if it is true, and once again, do not shoot the messenger, I get why people inside Hallis Hall could be pushing for the Chicago Bears to maybe go out and get Cooper Kupp and bring him in as your new slot receiver. But I just think with the injury history of Cooper Kupp, with the money that he's going to demand, and there's other teams out there that also have a need at wide receiver more than the Chicago Bears do, and they also have more money than the Chicago Bears. So they're probably more willing to, spend a little bit more on wide receiver Cooper Kupp and bring them to their organization. So to me, it makes absolutely no sense to bring in wide receiver Cooper Kupp. It would be nice to see him with Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze and DJ Moore under Ben Johnson. But to me, I think the Chicago Bears should, just steer away, maybe give Tyler Scott a chance, maybe go in the NFL draft in the later rounds and maybe draft another, little slot speed receiver to add to this roster. But to me, I would just say no to Cooper Kupp. And if you really want a veteran receiver, once again, just go out and bring back wide receiver Keenan Allen. So that's just my personal opinion. So once again, Bears fans, let me ask you guys this. Do you think Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears should go out and sign wide receiver Cooper Kupp? Let me know down below in the comment section. Before I let you guys go, I also want to share with some hypothetical mock drafts. I did 2 different mock drafts, and I'm not going to go in deep details on every one of these players within these mock drafts I'm showing you on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. But I wanted to give you guys 2 options, and all I want you guys to do is tell me if you would choose mock draft A or mock draft B if you were Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears. So mock draft A has the Bears drafting Tyler Warren with pick number 10, TJ Sanders, defensive lineman, in the 2nd round, then trading down with the Denver Broncos and getting a 2nd round pick 51 and another 3rd round pick number 85, then drafting Cam Scatterboo, running back out of Arizona State, then Ozzie Trapillo, the tackle out of Boston College, in round 3, then Lathan Ransom getting a safety at round 3, pick 85, and then in round 4, pick 113, taking edge rusher David Walker out of Central Arkansas. So obviously, the intrigue with, Tyler Warren, being able to run that, really physical 12 personnel here in Chicago, which Ben Johnson definitely likes his 2 tight end sets. Obviously, if you guys have not seen Tyler Warren's highlights, I would recommend typing in Tyler Warren's name on YouTube. This guy is going to be an absolute monster in the National Football League, and him and Cole Kmet together would be an absolutely beautiful thing. I'm obviously adding in defensive lineman help. I love Cam Scatterboo out of Arizona State. He's going to be a 3-down back. He runs hard. I think him and DeAndre Swift would be a really, really cool tandem here in Chicago. But overall, I think this is a very intriguing draft for the Chicago Bears. But let's go ahead and look at mock draft B on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. And this just has the Chicago Bears trading back down from number 10 overall with the Denver Broncos, getting pick number 20 and a 2nd round pick this year at pick number 51. So an extra 2nd round pick this year, and next year in the 2026 NFL Draft, and taking Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina. He is, to me, the second best running back after Ashton Jeanty, and you could probably even make some arguments that he may be even a little bit ahead of Ashton Jeanty, which that's not my opinion, but I know there's a lot of draft analysts out there that would probably say that about Omarion Hampton. He would also be a very good fit with DeAndre Swift and the Chicago Bears offense. The Bears get Tyleek Williams, the defensive lineman out of Ohio State, then a hard-hitting safety, Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame, and then Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama, just depending if he's actually there. Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU, so you're still getting a tight end in this scenario, and then a center to back up Drew Dahlman, and Jared Wilson out of Georgia. So Bears fans, you guys have seen mock draft A and mock draft B. Which one do you think is a better fit for Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears, and which one would you be more excited about if Ryan Poles and the Bears actually made it happen? In my personal opinion, for some reason, I am starting to grow on the Tyler Warren train out of Penn State, but I also really like Omarion Hampton as well. And to be able to trade back 10 spots to get an extra second-round pick this year and a second-round pick next year would also be a very intriguing scenario for Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears in this year's NFL Draft. So let me know what you're thinking about my two scenarios, and let me know which one you would choose. Option A with Tyler Warren or option B with Omarion Hampton. Let me know down below in the comment section. But as always, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for an all new Bears podcast right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic.